Reeta and Glenn on the internet.
Glenn and Reeta on the internet.
It's good to be back together.
Even though we're not physically together.
Yeah, and this is the weird. Like we talked last week, we had really hoped to do like a show this week with book club, and then we threw in that one caveat.
Now, I believe the caveat was if the Ravens get smoked.
Yeah, but this is just like that. Like
it feels like the same thing, friend. It feels the same.
Yeah, it's the nature of how it happened that does matter, and it ain't great. It just ain't great. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do the normal show again. Hopefully, the Ravens take care of business this week, and then we can just do a nice, fun, silly show and book club, and we can try something and all that stuff. We'll get together next week. But in the meantime, we have to deal with it. And Caleb, you missed it because on Sunday night we did Project Game Day. And when Reeta found out that Lamar Jackson had cramps, she like all of her inhibitions were gone. Like that was the moment. It was just so genuine and so real, and I loved it so much. It made me so happy.
I bet it did.
I needed something that gave me joy because God knows the football game didn't give me any joy.
I'll tell you one thing. There's only one person I'm so upset at. Joey Bosa. I needed him to record 1 sack, and I would have been a lot more rich. But man, Lamar made him look stupid about a dozen times, dude.
Over here,
I thought maybe this is the one. This is the one.
But look, but also he made that offensive line look stupid a few times. So
that part is also true.
So are we over it? Are we over it? Is this a game that you ever get over because we're so used to something like this happening?
I have 3 things that I want to go through, and I want to talk about them individually. And I know that they will cross in some way, but let's start with the first, right? The thing that's happened since Sunday is John Harbaugh met with the media and was still being peppered about the 4th down thing. And I just want to present what John Harbaugh said on Monday about it, which was a little bit different, but not a ton different than what he said on Sunday. This is what John Harbaugh said when asked about revisiting his decision to punt on 4th and 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it, with 1 minute and 33 seconds left.
You don't know exactly, because that was a long gain, so you don't know exactly what yard line you stole. It's got to be quick. The win probability, I'm going to say it might have been maybe 2% or 1%, something like that going for it. And you got to make the decision very quickly, and you got to say, hey, do we have a call that we really like? Do we have a call we love here? Because you got to send the punt team out, or you're going to have a delay game. Or you got to send your offense out, or you're not going to get the playoff. Just that fast. And, Lamar was coming off the field at that point. I could see something wasn't quite right. And you say you got to get your punt team out there. And that was really it's a fast sequence of events in that moment. But then again, too, I'm not shying away from putting our defense out there. I mean, if you get stopped on 4th and 3, did you think about punting the ball and putting your defense out there and giving them a chance to win the game? I mean, that would have been the next conversation because they'd have been in field goal range already. So I trust our defense, and I'm going to trust our defense this year in a lot of big situations because our defense is going to be really, really good. There's doubt about that right now probably, but I guarantee you our defense is going to play really good football this year.
Okay, I'm glad this is over. I get tired of the word salad. I really do. So, obviously they're saying that Lamar was cramping, even though it probably was cramps because he got dragged like a rag doll.
It wasn't. Exactly. It wasn't cramps.
Play. Well, you had timeouts. Timeouts. Let's start there. You had timeouts, so you could have used one. I mean, you had 3, I believe, at that point.
Let me present it this way just for the sake of the conversation, because I assure you in the end, I'm still going to line up with I would go for it, right? Like that's still going to be my opinion. As I present everything, you are going to have to take a timeout. That part is clear. Not just because Lamar is hurt, because typically that's what teams do when they decide they're going to go for it in that spot, right? Like,
or just deciding on what they're going to do, period. Maybe you didn't have a definitive answer, but maybe you're going to go over and talk with your people about potentially going for it.
Right. That's typically the way that it works. So they're going to take a timeout. If that's the case, then you're going to have 2 timeouts left. If you don't get it, you're now looking at a minute and 30 on the clock, and you only have the 2 timeouts. So the Bills are going to be able to eat up a minute, essentially, of that clock if they don't get a first down. If they get a first down, it's the same as what ended up happening. You're not going to see the ball again. The game's going to end on their terms. But if they don't get a first down, they're going to eat up the 40 seconds on the play where you can't call a timeout, plus however much time it takes on all of the plays that you call. So it's going to be roughly a minute. The best case scenario is you're getting the ball back with about 29 seconds or so and no timeouts.
that ain't even how that went. So there you go.
Well, yeah, they didn't get the opportunity, clearly, right? Like,
because they made the wrong decision. That's why.
So it's essentially a 0 game for you. Like, you're either going to get it or you're going to live with the fact that you're going to lose.
Yeah. Yes. That's the answer, Glenn. Lamar Jackson is your quarterback. He's not Tua. He's not. I don't know anybody else that you don't trust at this point in the tenure, because guess what? Buffalo had 4th down situations, and I don't recall them many times putting Josh Allen out there and saying we're gonna punt. I recall them going for it on 4th down. You want to know why? Because they have Josh Allen. That's why. And so they were content on saying we're gonna let 17 be the one to carry us to where we need to go. I'm not saying that putting the defense out at some point is a bad idea.
That part of it, I don't like that part of the answer, because we're smarter than this. I don't care if you have I don't care if you have a good defense. It's 2025 in the NFL.
Yes.
In the NFL in 2025, everything is bent towards the offense. Everything.
That's it. 1,000%.
Everything is bent towards the offense. It is
You
unfair.
could have tried to draw them off sides.
Right.
You could have done so many. You could have read zone. There were so many things. Even if Lamar was down for that second, I don't know, Wildcat, you got some tight ends out there. Get those dudes to just roll over some people and figure and push Henry or whatever. I'm going for it on 4th down, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a statement to my team that what we're not going to do is allow we've messed up at this point. Okay, that jet sweep was terrible. Okay, the play calling at some point had gotten conservative, as well as the defenses that they were putting out there. So now I have to try to get my team back in the fold. And in order to do that, you have to try to make a statement. You know, it's not going to make a statement punting on 4th and 3. That's not going to make a statement, particularly when you have a Derrick Henry that outside of that fumble played so well, and that offense as a whole played so well, and that defense in the fourth
except
quarter
for the right, except for the right side of the line, obviously.
So I'm talking about as a whole. Yes, they got problems, but again, Glenn, you know what they also have? Lamar Jackson,
and
who has made something out of nothing with this offensive line. So yes, I am gonna go for it, because the John Harbaugh that we used to know used to go for it on 4th and 3s.
Yeah.
I don't know where that dude is now.
It's weird. I do have the same feelings of incongruence, and I am willing to acknowledge that not every situation is made equal. Like, this is extreme to put another team in field goal range by not getting it. And the comparison that a lot of people have made has been the Chargers game from a year ago, where they went for it on 4th and 1 from their own 16-yard line. But that was before the half. You had another half of football.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring that up.
Yeah, it's not. I get that what we're really talking about is the overall inconsistency of their aggressiveness, and like, when are you going to be aggressive and when you're not. But these are apples to apples. I think what I'm coming around to is, one of the things that we said after the game was, well, part of the reason why you do this is because you just want to get whatever's going to happen, you want to get it over with quicker, right? Like, you just want to skip ahead to that part. And I'm realizing you don't want to let them go down the field and take up more time. You want to get it over with. They're closer. They'll just kick the field goal. You get the ball back, even if you don't get it. And I'm realizing that probably isn't a fit. Like, the time this was going to come down to, you were either getting it or you were losing. That's what it was going to come down to. You were getting the first down.
And they lost anyway.
And you were. And what I guess I would say is, I'll always live with that. And it's a part that
you'll always live with what?
with saying either I'm going to get this or I'm going to lose.
Going for it on fourth down.
Right.
Yes,
I'll live with that.
I agree.
I think the way we discussed it is though there's gray area in between. I'm saying I'm okay with the game is going to come down to this. Either we're going to get these 3 yards, 2.5 yards, whatever the hell it was. Either we're getting those yards or we're losing the game.
Me too.
That's just what it's going to be. And
because now we're having the conversation, and I don't mean to cut you off, but because I want to make sure I stay on your point.
Mm-hmm.
Now the conversations are the what ifs. There is no what if you go for it. The outcome would have been the outcome.
Yeah, I mean,
whether
somebody would
got
say
it or not.
Right. Somebody could say there is a what if you put.
No, there's no what if. There's no what if. No, Glenn, there's no what if. We watched the defense give up 22 points in the fourth quarter. We watched Josh Allen have 250 pass yards. So there was no what if. I had a friend text me when they punted, and he was like, "I'm not worried about it. My defense got it." I said, "No, they don't."
Yeah.
I said, "They're about to lose."
Well, and it's also it's the other part that nobody talks about, which is it's a 4-down game now. Like you have to stop them for 4 downs.
Thank you.
In the scenario we're discussing. That's
why isn't it? Why is that the elephant in the room though?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like you're saying, this inconsistency with John Harbaugh's aggressiveness. I'm not really seeing a lot of inconsistencies when you're labeled as an aggressive team around the league, right? So I think, if anything, week 1 is a giant mirror for the Baltimore Football Club. Like, look, guys, look at what you do all the time, and you can't talk your way out of it.
We'll get back to that because you're right. You're 100% right. But we'll revisit that because that's a topic that I want to discuss more broadly. I think the question of what happened to the 2019 Ravens, what happened to we're always going to go for it, the hell yeah, coach, let's go for it, Ravens, is fascinating. And one of the answers to that is, well, in 2019, I think they like their offensive line better than they like their offensive line at the moment. And I do think that plays a factor in some of the decisions that they've made. And maybe fairly, although I still wouldn't make this decision, but I get that in 2019, they were mauling. They were having their way every time they won. Now it's more Derrick Henry's doing it. Like Derrick Henry's best run of the night, there was no hole. None. Zero. He just patiently, he looked like Le'Veon Bell on that particular play. Just waited in the backfield, gave it 5 seconds to find, not 5 seconds, but 2 seconds to find a hole that didn't exist. They are not graders anymore up front. They are not getting downfield and bullying. And I do think that has something to do with why they've, in general, and I think it was Jonas that pulled the stat that said they went from being the most aggressive team on 4th down in 2019 to by 2023, they were the least aggressive team in the NFL on 4th down, which is wild, right? But I do think some of that has to do with the era of the Marshall Yondas and some of that and the overturn of the offensive line. They've said we can't just assume that we can protect in every situation and create the way that we were creating. I still default to Lamar Jackson. I still default to, okay, if I'm losing with him. I'm losing with him, and I'm living with it if I lose with him.
I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. I don't want to hear none of it. I don't give a damn. This is the offensive line that you have chose to ride or die with. So
that's also true.
You know, they're going to be until, you know, barring injury. This is a line that you are dealing with for 17 weeks. So I'm sorry. I'm not interested in hearing no fucking excuses. None. And if you didn't like the line that you got, well, then trade or find a way to get somebody else involved. So this is not going to be the only time that you're going to have to come up to a decision on whether or not you're going to go for it on 4th down. John Harbaugh is funny to me. His conservatism aligns with his politics, and yes, I'm taking the dig. So maybe it's something there. Maybe going down to DC was a bad idea because it's rubbing off on him a little bit. But at the end of the day, you cannot sit there and have Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, was in QBR he led, and quarterback rating he led in Sunday's game, and say, nope, gonna let our defense that struggled all day give it a go.
Well, and again,
and run the same coverages that you was running.
Right.
Running cover 2s, cover 3s, cover 4s, cover 6s. Like, you wasn't even pressing For real. And then the one time that you did press, well, we know how that went.
Mhm.
So, my thing is that they clearly showed you in that fourth quarter that history was about to repeat itself. And instead of saying, because I'm not even mad about the play call in terms of like Derrick Henry running the ball, because people will sit here and say, well, the Ravens was getting conservative again. Well, Derrick Henry typically doesn't fumble.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to take that into consideration. That is not
Normally that's a productive play for the Baltimore Ravens.
right. Correct. That's normal. So I wasn't mad at them running the ball, but what I was mad about when that next series came is like there was like again the Jets, like, what are we doing here with this jet sweep? Like what who thought that was a good idea? At that point it no longer became conservative. You had to get back on what you were doing, and that's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with you not trusting in Lamar Jackson to do, even if Lamar couldn't do it because he was cramping, right? Well, really he was in pain, and I get it. Yeah, we saw the hit.
No, yeah, you got blown up.
Get somebody to go out there and do it on fourth down, right? Go jumbo, do something. I don't know. Or or again, allowing that situation of the play calling that you had leading up to that point to get to where it was. And so it goes back to coaching, Glenn. All of this goes back to coaching.
Let's come back to that. Let's talk about the defense.
We will. I mean, I'm not gonna get. I'm just making the point. Like it's not particularly, and I don't even want to say it's the guys on defense either.
Well,
yes,
I think we need to.
No.
I think we need to talk about
they did wrong.
Yeah,
they were not good, but in my opinion, they were continuously being put in situations that the Bills continuously capitalized off of, and to me, a lesson never got learned, and that's where the struggles come.
This is the second point that I wanted to get to is I don't know. So many of us came into the season saying the reason why we believed the Ravens were like deserving of being Super Bowl favorites, or why we believed it was going to happen, was related to just how good and how complete we thought the team to be. And I'm, after one game, struggling again because I'm realizing that I don't think the defense was as bad as it looked against the Bills, but I still think there's one major problem that this defense has and has always had, and I do think it's potentially the difference in them being a championship defense. Like, it's easy for me to say, I don't think they're going to give up 40 points every game. They're not going to do that. I still don't know that they have a true difference maker on that side of the ball. I really am struggling with the fact that this is, for all of the things that we say, every good football player they have. And I think Kyle Hamilton is the closest to this, right? Like, I think that Kyle Hamilton, and he had the interception on the 2-point conversion attempt. Like, he did make a play, I guess, in that way. There were still 2 more dropped interceptions in this game, both Malachi Starks on the first drive, Chidobe Awuzie in the fourth quarter, the one that was originally ruled an interception and then overturned. There was only 1 sack. I'm still missing hey, when everything is on the line, who's the guy that's going and making a winning football play? Who's the guy that's taking it upon himself to say, this isn't happening? And I get we were spoiled in this city for years with 3 of the greatest to ever do that. But I think they have good defensive players, and I think that they're deep, and I think that all that's and they're not going to be this bad. But I'm defaulting back to, but I'm still not sure that it's a championship caliber defense, because I just don't know who this guy is that's going to be the one to win the game for them.
And I agree with you. I do think that they have good players. They do. But the one thing that Philadelphia was able to do very well in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs was their front 4 was so good, it allowed their back 7 to not have to blitz often, which then, allowed them to cover, right? And which is why Mahomes was, in duress for most of the game, because they had every level covered, because they didn't have to do anything fancy. They were just that good. They had wreckers up front. And while Justin Madubuike played really well, so I'm not going to sit here and take that away from him. But like, you're right in the sense of like, there's good players, but who is going to be the guy that's going to make the play. And at the moment, I don't have anybody. I don't have that person that I can say, I truly depend on this person to be the one to come up and make a play. Every single time that there was an opportunity, the Ravens, and going back to last year, they failed. The Cleveland game when Kyle Hamilton had a short touch interception.
He and everybody else in that game.
And he just drops it, But Roquan,
I saw it on this play that Caleb's showing us with James Cook, 100%.
Roquan
it's inexcusable.
Struggled. Roquan has struggled, and I don't know, what's going on. I really don't, but something's different, and I don't know. And I hate to say this, but I wonder if Roquan and Patrick Queen alike have a problem of missing each other.
I think there's definitely something to be said.
I think that there's something there, right? And I think that the Ravens thought that Queen is replaceable. And I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying that they have yet to find that perfect 1-2 that they had with the two of them, because I think that they worked very well together. So to answer the question, I think that they will get better. But as of right now, there's obviously still a lot of kinks that need to be worked out. We know that Jair played horrible, but we also understand that Jair has been dealing with this knee injury for all of training camp, and he didn't practice until for a little bit until the week of the game to practice. So he's going to be rusty, and he probably isn't going to be in great shape until later on this season.
This is my issue with that, though, Rita, is recent history would say Jair Alexander is going to be hurt all the time.
Yes, we know that.
He might have to learn how to play better when he's hurt, because I don't know that you're going to get a stretch where Jair Alexander is just healthy for.
I don't disagree.
5-6 weeks.
But again, this is where I think coaching has failed them. And I think that Rodney Harrison, at the end of the Sunday night game, he brought up a valid point about that. Like, Zachary Orr is a young defensive coordinator, and he's going to get it together. But he has to put his defensive players in better positions. And in my opinion, when, it was 40-25, I do think that they got comfortable. And you're not good enough to get comfortable. Okay? I know on paper, we think that this team is good enough, but we have to, the reality is that minus a couple players here and there that they added, whether it be via free agency or via the draft, so they're very young or very new to this team, the nucleus is one and the same. And while they did get better as the season went on, this was still a team that did not create turnovers. So you have to start putting, as a coach, you have to do better and putting these guys in better positions. And I did have a problem with how they handled the end of that game. And again, this is not me not holding these players accountable, Glenn. What I'm saying is I agree with you in the sense that we don't think that, maybe Kyle and then everybody else, who else, but outside of him, who's the true game changer? Yep. So because of that, as the coach, it's your responsibility to make up for what you can't put onto the field. And maybe maybe they overhyped themselves. Maybe they thought they had it, Glenn. That's the only thing I can come up with is they thought that they did have those guys. Mm-hmm. And then they learned real fast, well, Josh Allen's better than what it is that we were doing.
That's okay. But this goes back to why we all scream about it. We can make fun of, every time there's a good edge rusher that is on the trade market, everybody says, well, the Ravens should go get him. And we all have the responsibility to say, well, it doesn't work that way. But there's a reason why.
Jadeveon ain't doing nothing, is he?
Yeah, I mean, I would still take him, but he's not, he's not game changer at this point in his career. I'd still take him.
I'm taking whoever will bring the ruckus. 100%. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd still take him. There's no doubt about that. I would definitely still make the phone call because they need as much help as they can get in making those types of plays when the chips are down, and they're just not doing it. And I still have hopes that maybe Mike Green can become that player, and there's no way to judge him off of 1 week. There were a couple of moments where he looked, I hope that he can get there, but he's not there right now.
Right.
And they got to play.
He's a rookie too. He's a second round pick. I know that people expected him to be a first round pick. Well, he didn't go first round. He's a second round pick. Yep. I think too, we expect these guys to immediately be impactful, and everybody doesn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So for us to put Super Bowl aspirations on a second round pick, to me, is egregious. It's ridiculous. The other guys need to step up and they need to do their jobs, or you need to find somebody that's going to do it.
It's weird because what you're saying is 1,000% true. Like, it's absolutely egregious. And yet it might also be that unless Mike Green becomes that guy, they might not be able to do it. Like, that's where I'm at with this defense. It might require that in order for it to work out, for them to be a championship caliber defense. And again, I know they're going to be better than they were yesterday or Sunday. I know that. They're not going to give up 40 points. Now, they do have to face, the Chiefs and the Lions and the Rams and the Texans. And,
well, the Lions the Lions even score a touchdown.
You're right, but I think.
But also too, the Green Bay Packers have Micah Parsons. So I don't know.
Yep. I mean, they have a game changer. Having a game for F's sake, you face the Browns on Sunday. The Browns damn near beat the Bengals. If they had a competent kicker, they beat the Bengals because they've got an ass kicker. The Ravens have good football players and guys that you are happy to have on your team, and they have a bunch of them, but they don't have special. And it was a reminder of that. And look, it's not even predictive, right? The two guys that dropped interceptions have never played games to the Baltimore Ravens before.
Exactly.
It's not like Malachi Starks has been doing this for 5 years, or Chidobe Awuzie has been doing this for 5 years. It's just almost like a Murphy's Law thing that those were the two guys that you're like, these guys too? Nobody's going to bother to make the plays, but that part stands out and gets lost in everything that happened at the end of the game, that the game is utterly different if the two guys that have footballs hit them in the hands during the course of the game catch the effing football. It's a dip. We're not talking about the end of the fourth quarter. We're not doing any of these things. You make those two plays, the Ravens win that game comfortably and going away. Now, brings me to point 3. And this is the one. Why does this keep happening? And what is John Harbaugh's culpability in it? And this is the one that, like, in my world where I like to dive into data, they would tell you that none of this is predictive, that none of this matters, that what happened at the end of the fourth quarter means nothing about what will happen at the end of the fourth quarter in the next game, that the idea of a team being choking or something like that is not predictive, that all that's predictive is what you actually do from play to play. All of the advanced analytics are based on play to play. They would say this is more of an emotional thing where we just feel like this is part of the Ravens' DNA that they blow games. We all have seen all of the various numbers that have been going around recently. This image gets shared out endlessly.
It hurts to look at, honestly.
But you can also tell how old some of those are. Look at that score bug from that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. Like, what?
But it's like,
what year is that? What
does it matter to you? Does it matter?
It does.
It does.
It does matter to you?
It does, yeah. But
it doesn't matter to me.
I do think this number is relevant. I think this number is where you point out that there are 8 games since 2021 where they had a win probability of 90%.
Yeah, that's what matters. That's
Something that happened in 2013 does not effing matter.
Well, he was the coach.
I don't care who the coach was in 2013. It happened in 2013. It has nothing to do with the 2025 Ravens. They had a 10-point lead. They had scored 13 points.
Okay. No, it doesn't have anything to do with the 2025 Ravens, but it does. John Harbaugh is synonymous with both of those teams.
Okay,
what are we doing here, Glenn?
But then that way he's synonymous with winning a Super Bowl too. If we do this both ways. If it doesn't matter that
he only has one.
I understand
he's had fantastic rosters. He's had one seeds twice.
I'm telling you,
stick with them seeds.
Come on, and that's happened in these years. And I'm telling you that part matters.
It took him to have. He had 3, like you said, of the greatest defensive players that they are together collectively. They got 1 Super Bowl.
Right, one. They didn't get that. They weren't the greatest defensive players in 2012. That's the irony of it all, right?
But they were in 2011. That's what's
funny. They were.
And
didn't
win.
100%.
And didn't win.
Well, okay, but come on. Like, you want to blame John Harbaugh for the fact that Billy?
I'm not blaming John Harbaugh, but I'm sitting here. What I'm saying is that all of it in the grand scheme of things to me matters. It does. It does matter.
But I say this all the time. I don't know how much it matters measured against, right? Like, we also know that there is an ton of teams that don't have win probabilities of 90% regularly during the course of games because they just stink. they're no good. And this is the eternal conversation that we have, which is chicken and the egg or process versus result, right? Like, yes, the Ravens have blown a number of games, and no doubt the head coach has to wear it. That's the way that it works. But we only want to talk about that part of it and not the fact that they're in that position, or we just assume that they'd be in that position no matter what, right? Like that they're always based on who they are. Caleb could be the coach of the team, and they'd have a 90% chance of winning X number of their games. And that's not true either, with due respect to Caleb, who I think, looks like kind of a head coach with a headset on now that I look at it.
Just because he looks like one doesn't mean he a damn head. He's a producer.
Excuse you, Rita. I have a minor in coaching.
Get out of here. Pop Warner, AAU, get out of here.
I coach lacrosse. I'm a true white boy with a mustache.
Look at him. that headset and that mustache, I'm telling you, and the hat on, he does. Like, I feel like we could be cutting up to the booth and he could be calling plays right now. 100, look at him. Look at him. He looks like a coach right now. I'm buying it. The issue that I have with the why does this keep happening is I do think it's broader. I do think that John Harbaugh plays a role in it, and I do think that it matters that he's been the coach for a lot of them. But like since 2021, I do think there are other factors. And John Harbaugh sure as F didn't tell Derrick Henry to fumble the football on Sunday. And so I don't know fully how to measure it. It's all true, and he has to wear it. And I think that even I'm reaching the dude, if you don't win the Super Bowl this year, we're kind of at the end of it, or if you don't get to the Super Bowl at least.
Ain't no kind of. We at the end.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it is a fine line in the sand, actually. Like, he's been at the helm for too long. It's just it's the way I feel about looking at the Steelers. Like, not the same boat. One's mediocre, one has success and high expectations.
And I was gonna say, in the talent pool for the Steelers
is different, right? Different scenario.
Different, in my opinion.
But Mike Tomlin has been at the helm for too long. Like, that's just my opinion. And I'm sure a lot of fans would feel that way because you're getting the same results. Mediocrity. And while the Ravens are getting better results, they're still not getting the result that they desire. Right. So that can be equated.
So look, I get it. We only one team can only get to the Super Bowl. I get it. I know it's very hard to do. So we're gonna sit here and do all of that. We're gonna play that game, and it's fine, right? The problem that I have, though, is that, this is a guy that I think we can all agree is a generational talent, and it feels like his years are being wasted because for whatever reason, there's a mentality or a mindset that is missing when it comes to the fourth quarter. I'm not there. I don't know, obviously. So I can't speak on what that is, but something when it comes to finishing in the fourth quarter is missing. I don't know if they get too comfortable. I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's not being the mindset of we have to finish is not being enforced by the players that are the out, like just generally speaking, because I don't know, who's saying what, by the coaches and the way that they coach these games, by the decisions that's being made on the field. Something is missing. And unfortunately, he is the head coach. So we are going to put all of this at his feet because he is responsible for how this team responds to adversity, whether we like it or not. I know that these are grown men, and I know that, they're their own individuals and they can do their own thing. But his job is to rally the troops. His job is to say, we've been here before. Yeah, and if you don't like, and Glenn, you might have some more insight into this than I do, but I do feel like, in my opinion, Harbs to me allows a lot of free reign amongst his coordinators. And look, I get it. You want to let these guys run the show, but I'm sorry if I'm seeing the ship is sinking, somebody getting cussed out. Do something different because it ain't working. Okay, and I don't. Again, I understand that that's a situation of that can become problematic. But do you want to win or not? When Travis Kelce and Andy Reid had that that blow up on the sideline,
physically fighting. Right.
It bothered me none. It bothered me none. You want to know why? Because I saw passion in somebody that wanted to win, and I saw a coach that responded to that person. This is what people do when they see something and they don't like what they see and they want changes to be made, and then somebody's not doing it, right? So you physically or verbally or emotionally are having these outlashes, and clearly we know that that's just them being in the game. We know that they're not going to do that, like outside of the football field, right? But the Chiefs want to win that game. So he's upset. He's arguing. Whatever you got to do to finish, you're going to have to figure out what that's going to entail. If you got to make cute little shirts that say finish with the Ravens, with their graphic, whatever, or just start chanting it like this is the fucking Titans movie. I don't know. Figure it out. But you need to figure it out, because something's the mentality and the mindset of just us being not okay with it, but saying typical Harbs is super problematic, because now we're becoming indifferent to it, and now we're expecting these things to happen, and this is not something anyone should expect.
Yeah, I don't know if those guys, like, I can't imagine that anybody over there feels indifferent towards it, right? Like, and I certainly don't think any of us do. I think that I'm with you in all of the elements. Like, you got to do anything and throw anything at the wall at this point, in order to deal with it. And I don't know exactly what that is, because you don't want to limit it.
They're going to have to figure that out. That's not our job. That's their job.
But, like, I'll tell you, like, thinking about it, like, cutting back to Zay Flowers and him jawing with I'm like, I don't know, man. Is that the type of stuff that you think the game's over? Like, one thing I would say is that John Harbaugh changed in a lot of ways from the uber disciplinarian he was when he showed up to being far more of a player's coach at some point during, and we praised him for that, right?
Yes,
like that
and maybe that's starting to bite him in the ass. Maybe I'm not saying that he needs to go back to 2012, right? I'm not suggesting that. But maybe there's a happy medium in there where he can still be relatable to these coaches, but when it comes to game time, he ain't with none of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, to the point about, right, famously in 2012, it was a fight with the team that sort of like started things going. And so maybe there does need to be some of that, and those guys need to push back, and they need to figure out. I don't, again, without being there on a day-to-day basis or anybody being willing to tell the full truth about what it looks like, I think the outside perspective is there has been a loosening from John Harbaugh. And I'm not trying to take anything out on Zay Flowers, right? Like, I want guys to have personality.
For sure.
I'm not blaming him for the fact that, like, he was jawing with the fans and saying, I'm here this time. But the game isn't over.
That's my point. They were acting as if the game was over. And it is Harbaugh's responsibility to grab his little ass and say, look, little boy, the game is not over. Yeah. Okay? We can do all of this when the clock says 0-0-0, and we walk out of here with a victory. Straighten their asses up. That's what I want to see. I'm not asking for 2011, 2012 Harbaugh, but what I am asking for you to do is to keep them here. Okay? Instead of doing this, talking to fans. Bring your ass over here, pay attention, because we're trying to win this football game. And that's what they need. Some disciplinary shit going on that sideline when the game is going on.
I'm tired of that.
I don't like that guy. And with all due respect, JK, good for you, but we've got a new I'm tired man. We have our Brit, and I want him back. I want my British man to tell me.
Do you know, I went to find this.
I'm tired.
You know how old that press conference is?
Where did you find it?
It's so old. I found him in the locker room.
Oh, that's wild, man.
When he was like, I should have got more carries, blah, blah.
I'm tired of that.
I'm with you, JK. No, I feel very awkward about this because it feels like I'm coming down on Zay Flowers, but like
it's not about Zay Flowers though, Glenn, more so than it is the culture of which, like, them feeling victory.
Yep.
Right.
And John brought it up.
And prematurely putting themselves in a position where they think that they're good and they're not good.
Right. Correct. Or that you've won something. You haven't won a damn
particularly
thing yet.
Against good teams,
Correct.
dog. Like, you can't do that again. You literally just lost to the Bills back in January.
Yep.
This is the team that knocked you out of the playoffs. I would have gotten that sideline after we scored 40 and been like, I'm ready to put a 50 burger up.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, like, what are we doing here?
That's the type of focus that I think it takes. And that was the thing that jumped out at me in the aftermath. Because in the moment, I was thinking the same. I think we all were thinking the same thing. They're winning this game. But this is what it requires. It requires the ability to look at the circumstance and say, not until it's over. We say nothing. And it's sort of close to the Bill Belichick do your job thing. Like, it's sort of close to that without requiring you to be utterly emotionless. Like, it's still okay. I think what John Harbaugh said about, hey, guys should be able to celebrate together when they do something. Yeah, I want that. I want guys to celebrate. I want guys, but the running your mouth, all of that, that to
Not
me is
until
the
it's
stuff
over. I don't
when
care what you do when it's over and you win. I don't care what you do. Do it.
100%.
Heckle them all
of
day,
it.
right?
All of it.
But while the game is still going
Go
on,
go
just 'cause
Kevin
you
Durant. Get on Twitter. Tweet at people. Get
I
on
don't
Twitter
care.
afterwards.
I don't care what you do.
Tweet personally that they can suck your balls. Do the whole thing. All of it. Eat AD. Do the whole thing, man. How does my ass taste? Do the entire thing. As soon as the game is over and you've won. When you've won, I want you to be the most obnoxious human being on the face of the planet. I want you to be Marlon Humphrey when you've won games. But when the game's going on, I want you to be so hell-bent on we have one goal and only one thing that matters. And it doesn't matter that I'm having a good game. And it doesn't matter that all that matters is, do we win? That's it. That's the only thing. And until it says 0-0 and the game, or they're in victory formation, until they've given up and pulled their quarterback, none of it. And I do think, look, John said that he talked to Kyle Hamilton about the pitch, and he should talk to Kyle Hamilton about the pitch, right? Like, Kyle Hamilton had a great game on Sunday. But what in the ever-loving F are you thinking?
Yeah, but I also don't like the way for a person who we just sat here and had conversations about their mishaps, okay, and the decisions that they made. I don't think you publicly go and say, I think for somebody went to Notre Dame, that's the dumbest thing. Hey, you could have left that inside the locker room.
Yeah,
I'm good with you calling them out. I'm good with that because I think people need to be held accountable. Yep. I thought that was a little bit too extra. And if the shoe was on the other foot and somebody did that to him, he wouldn't like it. So my thing is that there's a line here between, just being honest with somebody and then simply trying to embarrass that person publicly. I got a problem with that. And again, this. It's little things though, Glenn. These are the little things, right? It's things like these and the things like Zay that all of these people need to tighten up. Harbaugh too. He got to tighten up. Like
I think that to me is the biggest area of culpability right now. Is this is a real thing that's really exist. However we got in here, because it's easy for me to say John Harbaugh didn't fumble the football. He didn't want Derrick Henry to fumble the football. I can't blame him for Derrick Henry fumbling the football.
Right. Nor should we.
But I do think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be tightened up, and
there's a culture. Yes,
business-like. There needs to be more business-like in game. To me, I don't want these guys to have no personality. We love that these guys have personality. It's a bummer to me that they don't do. I wish we were doing radio shows. I wish we were doing the whole thing. They've tightened up a lot of those things over there.
They ain't tightened up enough. Everybody got a podcast because Calvin came out with a podcast right after the game. Like 30 minutes after the game, he got a podcast. Oh, you're frowning, Kayla, but I swear to God, I feel like it was like that night he came out with a podcast. And then Marlon is promoting his podcast. So, look, it ain't but so much that they doing. Yeah. At this point, you can't control these guys anymore. Everybody's going to do a podcast.
But in game, ain't nobody. Yeah.
Look, you need to worry about what you're doing, what your job is. And everybody's job is up for grabs if you don't want to go out there and play for 60 minutes. That's where I would stand. I'm not defending no Faalele. I'm not defending no Stanley. I mean, you're going to defend Stanley, right? Because Stanley is Stanley, right? But anybody that's not doing their job can be replaced. And that's where I would stand with that. And think I'm playing. I'm not playing with y'all. I am not playing. I'm trying to win a championship. And if you are trying to get on board, then you need to do your job. You need to know your assignment.
You need to recognize this is what it takes to win a championship.
1,000%.
To win a championship is to be able to block out all that stuff and have one singular goal, and that's it.
It was right after the game. I told
you. I didn't make that up. I
Look,
was
man,
flabbergasted. And
I'd
so
rather be
listen,
him than like listening to the rumors that I have about other players going out after games. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. A podcast
I'm
though.
sorry. Like, and look, I'm not even mad at the fact. Like, I think that it's where I struggle with being too critical about that is that have like maybe it's therapeutic for him in terms of like dealing with a loss and being able to talk through it. Listen, come on, almost like talking to your therapist, but you talking to people, right? About what happened. I'm just not good with you like posting that right after. Maybe then post that shit tomorrow, bro. We don't want to hear that shit tonight. We emotional. We going through it. Okay? We can hear your thoughts tomorrow. After, but when you do it like right after that, again, even though it's probably therapeutic for him, right? Because the game is over, it comes off as you don't care. It comes off as that you're more concerned about doing your podcast after the game than what just happened in the game. And I just want people to be more cognizant of the decisions that they make, because sometimes it looks like all you care about is your time and your moment. And the organization, the fans, everybody wants y'all to win the Super Bowl. It just feels insensitive to me, I think, even though I think that the intentions behind it are good.
All right. Well, speaking of decision making, let's deal with the biggest questionable decision of the week.
Dun, 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 dun.
Two people I know well not showing up for a baseball game on Saturday night. Let's deal with that questionable decision making.
Blame Mother Nature.
Let's deal. I had it. It was a gorgeous night at the ballpark on Saturday night.
Did it not rain prior? It's not because it wasn't rain, but listen. I've had sinus surgery, y'all. I have really bad sinuses. I was down bad. I didn't go anywhere on Saturday. I stayed in the house on my couch from 12 to
12 the next day.
It's all good. Why would I wouldn't want, I didn't want to see you on my birthday anyway. It's all good. Why would
I'm so sorry.
Why would I want to share my birthday?
Blame Mother Nature. I wanted to be there. Now,
why would I want to share my birthday
Glenn,
with my friends?
Here's the thing, Glenn. You know me very well. Incredibly well.
Oh, you would have been gone. Oh, Rita would have been gone.
Yeah.
Rita would have been. Rita
by the sixth inning, I would have been like, "This is some bullshit. I'm not staying for the
long."
I'd have been like, "I'm not staying for no bad vibes. I'm out of here, Glenn. Happy birthday." Would have never seen any of that shit. Never.
You would have been so far gone.
I would have been home watching that at home.
Look at that! Look at that golf swing.
Yes, it is.
Look at where this ball is when he hits it.
Yes.
Look at that. 4.
Well, did you enjoy your birthday?
I enjoyed this part. I enjoyed this part a great deal.
What encouraged you to stay? We're at the point.
Oh no!
The
only
point,
reason my wife started shooting me daggers in the sixth inning. So I took my wife and kids. So it was always going to be my wife. I had 6 tickets. I had tickets for myself, my wife, my kids, and for my friends Caleb and Rita. And then my friends Caleb and Rita said, "F your birthday. We don't actually care. We're out. See ya." And Caleb,
we made a little side group chat, and
Rita, a tweet that I have that says
Rita and I both had a little side group, and we were like, you know what, fuck Glenn, I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly the way that it worked. And Caleb tried to use like the rain it was a gorgeous. It was like the most perfect night that I've ever had at a ballpark. Like it was so nice. But that's okay. My wife and kids, and then I tried to let the kids invite their friends, but it was just too late to get that all together. So my old roommate came with us because I just called and said, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Nothing." So he came to the game. We had a great time. But in the 6th inning, my wife is not interested. She's no longer the pregame ceremony. The pregame stuff ran long. The game didn't really start until like 7:20 or so. Like it was. And she was just done. And the kids were being a-holes because that's what they do. And they can't sit still, and they're fidgeting, and they're flipping bottles, and it's a packed crowd. So like they're annoying people. It's a whole thing. So she starts staring daggers. But I've never in my life seen a no-hitter before. Like it's just, I've been to a million baseball games. I've never witnessed a no-hitter. So I'm not leaving early. Like I'm not going to be the guy that departed. I did this once before. I think I've told this story. I went to the Patriots-Giants Super Bowl in Arizona. The David Tyree game. The most famous Super Bowl of all time. Well, I guess maybe the Patriots comeback is probably more famous at this point. But at the time, the most famous Super Bowl of all time. I was there. and left at halftime because all of my friends were hanging out a party in Scottsdale. And I said, I'm going to go to the party with like Donovan McNabb and go do that thing I left. I was not there for the David Tyree catch. I was not in the building, and I would be a liar. I was at the game. I left. So the story is, I'm not going to be the guy that leaves a no-hitter. I'm not going to do it. So I said, sorry, baby. We are sticking this thing out until the game is over. And she's, she's like falling asleep, literally falling asleep. I turned around at one point. My wife is asleep at the baseball game. She's miserable. I've stuffed donuts in the boys, so they're having the time of their lives. They're all hopped up on sugar. They don't care at this point. But they're really like, I can't believe the Orioles don't have a hit. They're angry about it. Me, I'm like, I kind of want to say I've seen a no-hitter, right? Like,
was you one of them people that was up there clapping for that man when he left the mound?
Yeah, but I would always do like that. I just respect an incredible performance. Like
I'm just going to tweet. I can respect it. I ain't clapping. He the enemy. Damn that.
I don't think. But it wasn't like I'm not
about the boo, but I ain't clapping.
Yeah, I think it was like a polite golf clap. It wasn't.
I ain't doing that. Nah, they was up there. They was giving him a standing ovation. I was appalled. Actually,
it was a polite golf clap. So Jackson Holiday hits the home run. Everybody has their phones out. I actually have the video, and like legitimately, we're disappointed now because we think we're getting video of a no-hitter. So like the ball goes out of the ballpark, and I put my phone away, and I look and I say, all right, we can go. If you want to go, we can go. So we start to leave, and my son's got to pee. So we duck into the closest bathroom. He's got to pee. Then we're still going to leave, and my buddy's got to pee now. And so we got to go into a different bathroom between where the seats were in left field and where we're going to leave the main gate where the Babe Ruth statue is. That's where we're going. So then Jeremiah Jackson hits the double. And I've never heard these words in my life. My wife, who wanted to leave 2 hours before, says, well, we can't leave now.
Well, she was right at that point.
And I said, all right. So we position ourselves in center field. And I swear to God, it was like watching people come back from when that happened. My wife kissed me in a way she didn't kiss me on our wedding day. Like, she and the boys are like, oh, this is a great moment. In the 8th inning, I told the boys to turn their shirts and hats inside out and turn them into rally. And my wife was like, they can't take their shirts off at a baseball game. I'm like, baby, it's the rally. Like, we're trying to start a rally. You don't get it. And then like a girl a section over saw them do it, and she flipped her hat inside, and it became this whole thing. And now my wife is, and I swear to God, she was like, I'm really glad you had them turn their shirts inside out. Like we had something to do with it.
Well, you did.
We had something to do with it. Yeah,
you did.
Right.
You did. That's the way it works.
This is why we sports for as many nights as we deal like with like Sunday night, and there will be many of those. Every now and then
there's a Saturday night. Yeah.
You get something like that. Does it mean anything in the big picture? Not at all, right? The Orioles stink. They're not doing anything. But every one of us that was there or was watching throughout the course of the game is going to remember that. It's going to stay with us. For my kids, it becomes a core memory. Like the way they were talking about it with their friends when they saw them the next day, like they had witnessed a championship. Like they were there for Game 7 of a playoff series because they saw something that no one had ever seen before, like ever in the history of baseball. And it was just a reminder that this is why we do this. We put up with a lot of Sunday night and Monday morning sucked ass, man. Like it just beat the shit out of us. But what we got on Saturday night, man, it's why we keep going back. It's why we keep going back, because you never know when you're just going to show up because you're drunk and you're and it turned out to be a moment for the rest of your life. And God, man, that was
that's amazing. That was amazing. I would have been gone, but
Reeta would have never seen it. That part is straight up.
I wish I could have just lied and been like, yeah. Because if I was there, I could have said I was there for real. You know,
Reeta would have left. That part is
bottom of the 6th. I'd have been like, bye everybody.
These guys. She would have said, these guys don't care. They're not taking this seriously, so I'm not taking it seriously.
Definitely would have left. You don't get to do that to me. You don't get to do that to me. And I would have been mad that I would have left because obviously something great came out of it. And I'm glad that it happened
Yo,
on that day of all days. So
all we just kept repeating the same thing the entire walk back to the car. We just kept saying, "Holy shit!" Like,
amazing.
I can't believe that just happened. I just kept saying, "This is so cool." I'm so glad that this is how I spent my evening. I'm so glad
You
that
had
I
a
allow
great
myself,
birthday, friend.
yeah, that I allow myself. And by the way, it proves the fact the greatest date on the calendar in Baltimore history is September 6th.
September 6th. Facts.
September 6th is the greatest calendar date in Baltimore history. September 7th, not so much.
Hey, that's
Not
my
so
son's
much.
birthday. Hold on.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry. Hey, speaking of great times, though, we had a great time out for the kickoff party last Thursday night. That was a lot of fun. Caleb and I were smoking cigars, and then I had to leave like 3 play. I got to see Jalen Carter spit, and then I had to Irish goodbye.
And then it was one white man. And so thank you, Caleb, for being our one white man at the party.
Anything to represent the demographic, Reeta.
You know, nobody noticed, so it wasn't like a big deal, but you know.
I mean, I told I couldn't get the bartender's attention at one point, and this lady was like, "Do you want a drink?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get her attention. I'm the only white guy here, so she probably doesn't give a shit." And she was like, nah, I got her. And like literally within 1 second, she was like, "Hey," right to her, and right to her. I gave her my drink ticket. I was like, "You know what? Thank you."
That's hilarious. Oh, that was nice. But I'm glad you guys came. It was a great time.
Sweet, man. It was sweet. The shots at halftime, the environment was lit.
Yeah, I had never been to that place before. What an atmosphere outside.
Yeah. My homegirl owns the place, so you know, we've been wanting to collaborate with her for a while, and it worked out perfectly because remember it was supposed to rain, and it did for a little bit. But you know, with the inside and the outside, it allowed us to just have more flexibility. Awesome. So it was great. I really enjoyed it. I hope y'all all did too, because that might be my last kickoff party.
I showed up. I said, "Reeta, how are you?" She said, "I'm never doing this again."
Might be my last one's friend.
We went.
Yeah,
well, we were there.
Well, at least we went out with a bang. You know what I mean? So,
at Ray_the_ on Twitter is how you follow him. At the NFL Chick, Gridiron Gals.
Yes.
We'll be back together for Project Game Day on Sunday as well, and we are hoping to have a nice, normal in-studio show for everybody next week. Hopefully that is the case. At Glenn Clark Radio, glennclarkradio.com for me. Have a great week. This has been Reeta and Glenn on the internet.